Okikolebwa ng'olukulu Eyisizza Enyongereza ey'embalirira y'omwaka gw'ebyensimbi 2023-2024 ya buwumbi 288 n'obukadde 624. Enyongereza eno ya mulundi gwa kusatu mu mwaka gw'ebyensimbi 2023-2024. Ensimbi eziyisiddwa za kukola ebintu ebikulu bina nga muno mulimu ekitongole ky'amafuta ekya UNOC kya kugula emigabo mu kitongole ky'amafuta ekya ENOC ng'ensimbi obuwumbi 136 n'obukadde 638 ze ziteekeddwamu n'ebitongole ebirala nga Minisita omubeezi w'ebyensimbi Henry Musaasizi bw'annyonnyola.
6 National Council of Sports, Uganda shillings 152 billion is required as 30% advance payment for the construction of Hoima City Stadium in preparation for Afcon 2027. This funding will enable the contractor MS Suma commence on construction of the stadium to be ready before the deadline of 31st December 2025 required by Confederation of African Football, CAF, for Uganda to co-host the 2027 Africa Cup of Nations. Under vote 514, Uganda Embassy in Geneva, Uganda shillings 1.49 billion is required to address the funding shortfall arising from the loss of poundage and increased schedule on account of Uganda's assumption of chairmanship of Non-Aligned Movement NAM. The mission requires funds for accumulated dues on rent, salaries, medical insurance, and utilities. This needs to be settled by the end of financial year to avoid legal action from landlords, service providers, and contract staff. This will be funded using savings from wages after the audit of the wage bill. How are we going to finance this supplementary Schedule 3? 1, we shall use savings from the wage amounting 3.990 billion, and 2, we shall transfer funds from Petroleum Fund amounting to 284.634 billion.
Mu kuyisa ennyongereza eno wabaddewo obuwaayiro obuwummuziddwa olw'ensonga ey'obwangu ensimbi zino gye zeetaagibwamu.
Running short of time, particularly in considering the budget. The budget committee is very busy handling so many things, particularly to beat the deadlines. The Honourable Minister has just laid on table the supplementary estimates, which ordinarily under our rules of procedure, Rule 153(3), it is supposed to be going to the budget committee. And the budget committee, as you have stated, has a lot of work. I wanted to move under Rule 16 that if it pleases you, Right Honourable Speaker and the House, we suspend this particular rule.
Ssaabawolereza wa gavumenti Kireewa Kiwanuka ategeeza Palamenti ayina ebiwandiiko by'ateekeddwa okussaako omukono omulina ekyo ekikkiriza Uganda okutegeka empaka za Afcon ssaako n'ebiwandiiko ebirala nga n'olw'ensonga eyo bateekeddwa okuyisa ensimbi zino mu bwangu ddala.
As you all know, the financing model for ECOP was clearly to be done by our partners. Unfortunately, because of the change in the world order and economic setting, we have been required to put in equity. It was not known to us at the time we passed the past budget. On Afcon, the biggest requirement is actually a complication coming from my office. The contracts are available for me to sign, and I'm requiring the Minister of Education to show me the source of fund before that contract can be signed. If Parliament is happy to wait until next financial year, the problem is we will lose timelines in as far as the deadlines to meet that. Unfortunately for me, the law doesn't allow me to approve a contract for signing without knowing the source of fund.
Omubaka Ibrahim Ssemujjunganda awakanyiza ennyongereza eno ng'agijuliza alipoota ya Ssaababaddizi wa gavumenti ku nsimbi ez'ekikanga kino.
You pass a supplementary here. You give a license to Honourable Musaasizi and his group to remove money from items you have approved and use it on their new priorities. That's what the Auditor General is saying. That's point number one. So approve this supplementary knowing that the money you approved earlier, first of all, the funding itself will not be realized because by the end of the third quarter for this financial year, URA had collected just about 20 trillion out of a 29 trillion target. If they work so hard, maybe they will make them 23. So what the Honorable Musasizi will do is to remove money from the earlier priorities and then fund his new priorities. That's what will happen.
Mu nsimbi zino era mulimu ensimbi endala ezigenda okukozesebwa mu kuzimba ekisaawe ekinaakozesebwa mu mpaka za Afcon ezijja. Ekisaawe kino kyakuzimbibwa mu kitundu eky'e Hoima. Ensimbi eziyisiddwa za kuggibwa mu kitafu kya gavumenti wabula oluvannyuma lw'okuggibwa mu kitafu ky'ensimbi ez'amafuta. Yise Kigongo kulwa Channel 44 Oleggulo.